Hi, so my name's Katie Anderson. I graduated from Hillsboro in 2013, and I'm a member of this church, and I go to NDSU now. I'm a junior, and I'm a psychology major there, and I plan on going into school counseling when I graduate in the fall. So, yeah, I'm here today to kind of talk about an experience I've had where I work at a Bible camp in the summer. And I work at Red Willow Bible Camp. Some of you may have heard of it because of VBS, because Hillsboro does their VBS through Red Willow now. Or you might have gone there. I see a couple campers in here, so that's always cool to see. Or you might have worked there yourself. So it's a really impactful place, and I'm going to kind of tell you my story of it from when I started there. So I started going to camp 8 years ago. My best friend, Elizabeth Gadberry. Some of you guys might remember the Gadberries. Well, they were moving away, and Liz was my best friend, and she's like, let's go one last thing, let's go one last hurrah. And so Liz, Katie Dakota, and my other friend, we were all like, yes, let's all go to camp and to celebrate Liz leaving. So we go to camp, and it's just, I've been to other camps, but it was never like Red Willow. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but sometimes I get a little nervous talking in public, but it's weird because I can talk in front of 50 junior high kids all week and act goofy and run around on stage being an idiot, but when I talk to my home congregation, it gets a little scary. So, sorry I'm not wearing jean overalls and my 25 cents combat boots right now. So I started going to camp, and I was nervous, but it was really cool to see all these cool adults that I looked up to, and they're really not that old. They're my age, 20 years old, 21 years old, and they were living out their faith. They're doing this thing. They were jumping around stage, playing their guitars, loving Jesus, and I was like, this is so cool. These people like what I like, and they're adults doing it, and it was just a really cool experience to see all these people doing what I loved. So that kind of got me on fire. Like that song, Till I'm So on Fire. It was kind of like that. And camp, there's this hill with 3 crosses. When I was a camper, we would go, and they did the Christ hike, so they did Jesus' whole life, ended with the crucifixion. So it was this really powerful thing, and on Thursday nights, we'd go to the hill and sit and reflect. Now we do communion and stuff, but we'd sit and reflect and just look at the lake and the hills. Red Willow's 500 acres, and it's beautiful. So we'd sit and reflect and just think about life. And I was kind of going through a tough time because it was around the time that my dad was just in his mode, and it was a year before my dad died, so it was kind of the sad time. And then the second time I went, my dad had passed away, and I'd had all these things that I never really noticed that were building up in me, but then I sat on Cross Hill Thursday night of 2009, and I just everything let go, burdens are gone, I felt lighter, and it just was a life-changing moment. I didn't realize it when I first went to camp, but my whole life was changing, and just here I am now. So in that moment, I decided I'm going to come back. I'm going to be a CIT, a counselor in training. I'm going to come back and work here. This is my dream. My dream job is being a summer camp counselor. And I've been living out my dream job for the past 2 summers. I started working there in 2014 because so it was the summer after I graduated college. Or high school, not college. So you have to be a year out of high school. And so my role had changed when I come to camp this time. I'd been a camper, then I was a volunteer, but now I'm a counselor. I'm kind of the person that everyone looked up to, that I was looking up to when I was a camper, so now I had to be that person for every other kid. I work at the NDSU Alumni Center right now, and so I'm calling out to the past generation of NDSU grads, and I'm the future generation of NDSU grads, but when I work at camp, I'm reaching out to the future generations of Red Willow alum. It's a really rewarding experience that I get to hang out with these kids that one day could be me, one day could work and love camp as much as I do and come back and work. But it hasn't always been easy to be that perfect role model. Sometimes it gets hard, and that's kind of when I just definitely turn to God. It's really important, and while I've been working at camp, I've learned a few things. One is just patience, because all things in life you need to be patient, but you just camp is a special thing because you're in a cabin for a week with a bunch of 6th grade girls, and it can get stressful because they're 6th grade girls, and they're just running around creating havoc, and they don't go to bed ever, so you have to have patience. Patience is definitely key, especially when you spend a summer with 20 other adults. That you need patience for that because there's people from all walks of life, and it's been definitely rewarding summers. Another thing, this last summer, one of our theme verses was "You're made in God's image." We talked about Genesis, that might have been 2 summers ago, but it is in. So we talked about how we're made in God's image, and it never really hit me that I was like made in God's image until this summer, where it was like we took the time to learn it. And as an adult, or as a kid, you're just always like, yeah, you're beautiful, God made you. But as an adult, it takes a lot sometimes to believe it. So just know that God took the time out of his busy schedule, out of everything, just to sit down and create you. That's one of the biggest things. I had an epiphany. I was like, whoa, yeah, that's awesome. So that's something that is always. So just remember that you're all loved. Another thing I learned is how to play Gaga, which is this game where we sit. Yeah, Sage knows. Where we sit and, or we don't even sit. It's like Foursquare in a sheep pen. Not even, but it's crazy. I learned how to play the game Settlers of Catan. Counselors play it all the time. I learned that fire extinguishers are meant for putting out fires and not for skits, even if the fire extinguisher is expired, because sometimes it will still get in to the buildings. So don't use them. I learned how to play carpet ball, which is this game with pool balls, and I'm a carpet ball champion at camp 2 reigning summers, so that's something that I'm pretty proud of. And I also, one of the biggest lessons of this thing is that if you never know an answer in a Bible study, just answer with Jesus, and you're usually right. So remember of that. And probably the biggest thing that I've learned over the past 2 summers and just in general is that you can make all the plans that you want, but God's going to laugh at you and make his own, because, how cliche it is, it's very true. There's all these things that I've tried to make plans, I've tried to have all of these things that I want, but God made me do other things, and sometimes trusting him is the hardest thing you'll ever do because you're pretty much blindsided into not knowing what's going to be the outcome. But trusting him is the hardest thing, but it's also one of the most rewarding things. Just living out the plan. Like I said, God made you with a purpose, and he also made this very intricate plan for you. So if you just decide to follow your path, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And that's kind of why Jeremiah 29:11 and Psalm 31:24. Jeremiah 29:11 talks about how God knows the plans for you. He made them for your benefit, not to harm you. God made this so you can live out his plan, to give you a future with a hope. And this was something that this was kind of everyone's favorite verse at camp this summer, and I never heard of it. One of my friends, a counselor, he's from North Carolina, and this was his favorite verse. And Raymond, his name's Raymond, is solely attached to this, and I never heard of it. And now it's a main part of my life. I have it hanging on my wall just to remind myself that whatever I'm going through, it's for a purpose. And this summer I really had to remember that, of all the crucial things. So yeah, working at camp has been the greatest thing I've ever done. I'll be back this summer as a team leader, which means I'm counselor's team leader, so I'm kind of a step above, but not really. Just have a different job title. So I'll be back. And if any of you want to ever check out Red Willow, you can. There's a website. There's camps for all ages of kids, and it's I went as an 8th grader. So if you think you're too old to start going to Red Willow, you're not. And there's all sorts of things. And if you ever just want to go, just go see it. It's beautiful, and it will change your perspective on a lot of things. And that's my favorite part about camp. And I just want to say thank you guys for having me. And also, last night I was looking through my old camp videos, and I learned that I was kind of a goober while I was at camp as a kid. And I talked about Cross Hill earlier, and how much I loved Cross Hill then. And now it's really, really special because I get to go out as a counselor and I get to play guitar. And I never thought I would know how to play guitar. I could play the trumpet in high school, but I wasn't very good at that. So I was like, okay, I'll never be very musically inclined. If you've ever seen my mom, she can't really keep on beat. But I got it all from my dad, so thankful enough. But it's really cool because back in the day when I was sad on Cross Hills, because I was sad about like my dad and everything that I was going through with that. But now it's really cool because I get to look back and I get to, like, I play my dad's guitar now. So it's really cool just this full circle of how I used to be sad on Cross Hill, but now I get to play my guitar and like for all these other kids going through all this other stuff. So it's just been a really, really rewarding thing. And I'm really, really thankful because I really started going to camp because this church really helped me. So I'm just thankful for that. So yes, thank you. People, I'm looking at you. I see you can play the guitar, so you should come to camp.